Welcome to the Hustle Culture Podcast. My name's Sloan, and let's dive in. Hi guys, what is up? Today is the 5th episode of the Hustle Culture Podcast. I hope everyone enjoyed episode 4. It was rather interesting for me to reflect on everything that's happened in 2020. Definitely the highs. I think sometimes we can get kind of overwhelmed with all the lows and forget to realize the good things that happened and the monumental milestones that we reached. So I think it's always very good to sit back and be humble and realize exactly what you've achieved. So on today's episode, we are going to be talking about my morning routine. I have a rather complex morning routine. It's a little bit of a weird situation. My schedule kind of goes with children's school schedule. So when kids are off school, I don't typically have as much work and I don't work as much. So typically my mornings during the school year and when kids have school start at about 5:30 normally. And most of my stuff is prepped the night before. I lay out my clothes, lay out my lunch, my snacks, my water bottle I fill up, I prep the coffee, I prep my bag and everything. And we already talked about that in the previous episode about me being productive and how I increased my productivity. So currently I've been rather thrown off my routine being that it's been winter break and everything. So I'm trying to get back in the swing of things as school is starting up here soon. And tonight is actually the night before school starts up. And I'm so excited for all the kids to finally go back to school and also for me to finally have my routine back. I'm definitely a very routine-oriented person. I think that's kind of why I'm able to stick to these, I call them routines, but it honestly changes day to day with what needs to get done. I can get a little stressed out and everything when I'm thrown off my routine, so I'm definitely ready for everything to return back to normal. However, it's kind of been like this since 2020 began, honestly, so I'm trying to get used to being disrupted from my day-to-day life. However, it's a work in progress. So I didn't include this in my notes, but I actually have a separate routine with my Amazon Echo that in the morning it starts off at 5:30. It dims my lights slowly for the next hour so I don't wake up to super bright lights. I also have warm lights in my room. I don't like the white light, the cool white lights. They kind of give me a headache and I just don't like the ambiance that they set. So all my lights are warm lights and it kind of looks a little bit orangey in my room, but I like waking up to that and not having the white lights on and everything. So slowly my lights dim on, my Echo reads me the news, reads my emails, my messages. Honestly, sometimes I sleep right through it and I purposely go back to sleep for those 15 minutes. Unfortunately, I am the type of person who kind of has to set like 10 different alarms and I'm trying to get out of that habit. However, my biggest fear is oversleeping and not being up in time. It's happened before. And it's the worst feeling in the world when you oversleep because normally when I wake up, it's still dark out. However, there's been times I've overslept and it is light out and it's the worst feeling in the world when you open up your eyes and your heart just starts racing because you know you overslept. So I do set about 10 alarms, 15 minutes. Anyways, however, when the Echo is going, I give myself permission to check my phone, check my messages, see if there's anything I need to hop on, any emergencies that might have happened throughout the night that I need to deal with. I check for important messages. My coffee's already prepared so all I kind of need to do is hop out of bed, go get my coffee, and then I come right back upstairs, feed my cat. She's kind of my coworker. She's a terrible coworker, though. She's currently laying on the only piece of paper on my desk. She's laying on it. Out of everywhere she could have laid down on my desk, she intentionally chose to lay down on the one piece of paper that I actually need. I start my essential oils, my humidifier. I honestly just use essential oils for the smell. I don't like candles. They give me a headache, so I kind of use essential oils for the smell. I know there's a lot of other benefits you can use them for. However, I kind of just pick and choose based on what smell I would like my room to smell like. Obviously, essential oils can be good and bad. I know there's some controversy regarding that. You have to be very cautious about which brand you use and do your own due diligence regarding that because essential oils can be just as toxic and terrible for you as candles, and everyone thinks because it's natural, it's good. However, there's some essential oils, regardless of how pure they are and how they're formulated, they can still be really bad for you to inhale, especially with cats. I open my blinds up in the morning. Typically, it's still dark by the time I wake up. Normally, when I wake up at 5:30 in the morning, it's still dark out. So I open my blinds so that when I do get home from the first thing I normally do in the morning, my room's already ready to go and get ready for work and everything. I always make my bed every day. I'm a little bit of a weirdo like that. I didn't used to be like that at all. I really honestly didn't care if my bed was made. However, I think it makes a difference at night when I go to get back in my bed. Just getting into a nice clean bed with made sheets just feels so much nicer. And everyone's been calling me kind of weird for this. I only have one pillow on my bed. I know a lot of people like to have 50,000 pillows. However, I only have one pillow on my bed, and it's actually just a body pillow. That's the only pillow I actually sleep with at night. And then I just got a weighted blanket, which I'm obsessed with. It's 45 pounds, so it's a little bit ridiculous. But I just got a 45-pound weighted blanket to sleep with at night. And on top of that, my cat likes to sleep on top of me, so I probably have about 50 pounds. But I think it's been working. I don't know if it's a placebo effect or what, but I feel like I sleep better with a weighted blanket. Brush my teeth, get dressed from the clothes I've already laid out. I don't really do too much of a skincare in the morning. I don't really wear makeup or anything, so I kind of just wash my face with some witch hazel. I like witch hazel for my cleanser. I don't really know how much it does, but I like witch hazel for my cleanser. It kind of just makes my face feel clean. And then I think it's Neutrogena moisturizer. It has sunscreen in it. When I remember I put that on. Honestly, probably don't do it every single day. Unfortunately, most of my days are actually spent inside, which is not the best. So that's kind of my skincare for the morning. I make sure I have my water bottle already in addition to my coffee. I try to remember to drink water first thing in the morning versus coffee first, because coffee is actually a diuretic. So I try to remember to drink water first. I got into the habit. It's really gross, honestly, but once you get used to it, it's good. A YouTuber that I watch, actually, she recommended putting vinegar in your water. I thought it was disgusting at first. However, I realized I like pickle juice. I would drink pickle juice, and it kind of reminds me of that. I use apple cider vinegar. That's the type of vinegar you're supposed to use when you're drinking it. You're supposed to use white vinegar when you're cleaning, and apple cider vinegar when you want to consume it. When you have to dilute it a lot, and obviously you can take apple cider vinegar shots. However, I also heard that it's bad for your teeth just to take a straight shot of it. So you dilute it in water. But when you dilute it in water, it honestly starts to taste kind of sweet, kind of like apple juice that went bad a little bit. It doesn't taste sour or anything. It tastes really good, honestly. And I unplug my desktop computer at night, just so I don't have the urge to go on it and just make a couple last emails, social media and everything. I just straight up unplug it. So if there is an emergency, I have to go through a couple steps. So it better actually be a legitimate emergency. Then obviously I shut down my laptop computer, and then I have to reboot all that. I get all that started, kind of begin the day. I don't have a set schedule for my actual work during the day. However, I do have very solid morning and night routines, and I think as long as you have a solid morning and night routine, the middle of the day can kind of ebb and flow, because the middle of the day, it's so unpredictable. However, no matter how crazy of a day I have, I know I'm going to go home and have XYZ for my night routine, or no matter how late of a night I had before, I know I can wake up and have a good morning. So I kind of like having to start my day and end my day in the same way. It's reliable. So that is the end of my morning routine. I don't know how complex it is compared to other people. I feel like a lot of other people do the exact same things. I used to wake up at 4 a.m. It was an interesting time. It was when the whole hustle culture thing kind of got to my head. I was waking up. I was going to bed at 8:30 at night and waking up at 4 a.m. So, I mean, I was getting enough sleep and everything. It just wasn't the sleep cycle for me. And I was reading a book. It's called Why We Sleep. And it's about how not everyone's bodies are aligned on the same sleep schedule. And everyone wants to call teenagers lazy and everything because they like to sleep and they stay up later and wake up later. That's because their bodies are naturally supposed to be on that sleep cycle and everything. And that doesn't change when you get older. One person's sleep cycle might be completely different from another person's sleep cycle. And if you try and force yourself to go on another sleep cycle, it's not going to end well. And I tried to force myself to do that because there is this thing going around in one of the Facebook groups I'm in, and like the LinkedIn community, I suppose, which is very toxic, about the 4 a.m. club. It's just a bunch of BS and everything. So now I go to bed at 10 and wake up at like 5:30. So I'm still getting enough sleep. I feel a lot better. That was definitely kind of a wake-up call for me, because I used to feel guilty if I'd make myself sleep in a little bit, because I'm like, oh, I'm being lazy and everything. But honestly, I was more tired. I was getting the same amount of sleep as I am now, and I was more tired then than I am now. So I think that's just a very interesting fact that everyone needs to keep in mind. And maybe some people can wake up at 4 a.m. and be totally fine. One of the main reasons I did like waking up at 4 a.m. was I was able to jumpstart my day and get tons of work done before the mid-afternoon slump kind of hits. So I feel like I was getting more work done. However, I was just a lot more burnt out. And honestly, I think you just kind of need to find what works for you because it's obviously not going to work. I remember I used to Google like famous CEOs and business people and find their morning routines. Surprisingly, I don't know if that's a little creepy, but you can find a lot of people's morning routines online. So I used to try and follow their morning routine. And honestly, if it just doesn't vibe with me, it's not going to work. I'm going to get burnt out and hate it. So you really just have to find what works for you. Like anything, I think I'm a big proponent of do what works for you. Don't try and copy other people because what works for one person isn't going to work for you. What works for me isn't going to work for anyone else. So it's really just finding what works for you and what kind of motivates you. I like having a slower morning routine. I don't like jumping out of bed. So in order to have that slow morning routine, I have to plan ahead and allow myself to wake up earlier. So even if at first I'm relatively tired, I know by the time I have to run out the door, I'm not dragging my feet after I've had coffee and I feel motivated and in proper clothes and I've done what I need to do for the day. Versus if you wake up 10 minutes before you have to leave and you're rushing out the door, it just kind of sets the tone for your rest of the day, and I don't like that at all. And thank you guys so much for watching episode 5 of the Hustle Culture podcast. I cannot wait for the next week's episode. I am excited. I'm going to be looking forward to 2021 and telling you guys all my hopes and intentions and goals for this year. I don't like New Year's resolutions. I think it kind of has a stigma where you're gonna fail. Most people, when you tell them you do New Year's resolutions, they're like, yeah, right, you're gonna fail within the first 2 weeks. Like when you get that gym membership and then you only go for the first 2 weeks and then never go again. So I don't really like calling them resolutions. I call them intentions. I'm a big manifester. I like seeing and then being. I think that's a good quote. You see it and you be it. So hope to see you guys next week and have a good rest of your day. Have a good rest of your week and hustle. Hi guys, I also wanted to jump in and say we just got approved on Apple Podcasts, and I'm also going to start posting this on YouTube, and I'm very, very excited. I've watched YouTube since I was little, but I've never actually posted anything, so bear with me. I'm sure there's going to be some road bumps and everything. And also, I wanted to say what our Instagram it is. It is the Hustle Culture Podcast. No periods, no spaces, no nothing, just Hustle Culture Podcast. You don't know what I went through to try and get that name and everything. We went through so many different names in every single social media site. The name I wanted was taken, so we finally stumbled upon one that was not taken, thankfully. Bye.